I've been spending the last 10 years researching innovation inside what I call normal companies and regular companies that are not necessarily on Madison Avenue and that are not necessarily in Silicon Valley or Google and so on, but kind of like the rest of us. And what fascinates me is that repeatedly I run into this fact that the way we fail around innovation, around technology and so on, is driven by the way we think about innovation. Like literally the mental models we carry around that can a little bit blind us to what's actually going on or what the right questions to ask are. And I think that's very, like, you can listen to the discussion in this room we've had this morning. It's kind of, there's a specific vibe to it. There's some specific assumptions underlying what's going on with technology and with trying to move the human race forward or backwards or getting replaced or whatever it is. That whole idea, I want to share an example with you. Because one of the things that I constantly run into is the question, well, where are we going to start getting new ideas from? Where do we look for innovation? And very typically, people look at two specific things. They look at new technology and they look at the future. We kind of ask, well, what can we use social media for, or IBM's Watson, or 3D printing and so on? And we ask, where are our markets and customers going to be in 3 years, and how can we meet them there? That is a great question, but it's not the only question you can ask. I want to show you a case, and I don't know if we have anyone in here who is into wine. Is there anyone here who's actually a little bit of an expert on wine? I'm not going to ask you questions, so it's kind of safe to put up your hands. Fantastic. What's your name? Angelica. Fantastic. And I guess the rest of you are kind of regular alcoholics. I'd like you to imagine that you are a little bit earlier in your career and that Angelica is your boss. And she's about to make a very important promotion decision. You really want that job. And what happens is, a Wednesday afternoon, Angelica gives you a call and says, you know what, my husband and I would love to see you for dinner tonight at our place. It's going to be very casual, very cozy, you know. Just come over and let's hang out. You are very aware that this is not a casual dinner. This is evidently part of the job interview. She's trying to assess whether you will be a good leader. And you know one thing about Angelica, which is that she's really into wine. She is like a wine snob, and she believes that if you don't know about wine, you're not a good leader. True, evidently. And that's a little bit of a problem, because the last thing that Angelica says before slamming down the phone in her characteristic manner is, oh, and by the way, could you bring the wine? So, you race into your car, you're already late for the dinner, you run down, luckily there's a wine store, great, we have it here, we run in. What do you look for? What do you do? What do you use to pick the right wine for this dinner? What would you say?
Clerk.
Second from the highest price point. So like find the highest and then go one down. Great strategy, right? So only 2 months' salary you're going to be sacrificing on this. That works. What else?
I'll ask if Angelica shops here.
Oh, yeah. If we're lucky, this is where she shops, right? And we can get some inside information. What else? Well, yeah, go ahead. Find a Danish wine. So something completely unknown. That works. What else? Check her Facebook account. Well, we have social media. Great. Maybe we can use that to find some information. What else? Ask her. Okay, reveal our ignorance. Always a good strategy. And let's see if that might work. Yeah. What else? What do you have? What do you go for? Huh? Fish or meat. And Angelica, what are we having? What? No. What? Like, are we having meat? Meat. We're having meat. So, we have a Frenchman among us. This is Gabriel, so he should know. Red wine. We've got a color. Great. What else? Oh, great. So, we're going to ask the 17-year-old kid behind the counter. That's going to give us a good answer. Fantastic. What else? What will we do? Yes. There's an app for that. Somebody's waving a phone. That might work. Fantastic. What else? Yeah? Bring a bottle of water. Fantastic. Okay, let's just dodge the problem entirely. Just that works, absolutely. I had somebody at some point say, well, I'm going to sample some of the wines already. It's kind of like getting drunk before the dinner, which is also a good strategy. 2008, Pinot Noir. Good or bad? Is that like the wine that everybody knows in the wine society sucks? That is like, this is the year where the French peasants kept their socks on while they crashed the grapes. It's horrible. Huh? That's Merlot. Okay, avoid Merlot. My point is, this is a difficult decision. This is, for most people, we are not very good at buying wine, and we don't know a lot about wine. And yet, in almost every wine store in the world, this is what you find. You come in, and if you're lucky, there's a sign saying, this is champagne, this is not wine. And then you're on your own. Notice this. There is an entire industry locked into one way of selling their products, locked into a way that doesn't solve a basic problem the majority of their consumers have. This is now. This is the wine industry right now. Except, of course, perhaps for Bottle Rocket, which is a store in New York where I live. And Bottle Rocket doesn't look like this. Bottle Rocket looks like this. Are we having seafood? Well, then we have some great bottles with fatty fish, poultry, meat, takeout, fantastic. Oh, you're going for the dinner with the boss. I bring this out, not to make fun of the wine industry. I don't know anything about wine either, by the way. I bring it out because it is an example of something I see again and again, that when we look at where are we going to create value in the future, how are we going to survive as a human, like the species and so on, we tend to look only at one side of the equation. We tend to look at the solution space. We tend to look at technology, focus incessantly on that. We tend to look at future problems that might or might not occur. We tend to forget that there are problems in the past we haven't solved yet. One of the most efficient ways of getting innovation out of people is to ask not what's going to happen in 3 years and how do we use 3D printing to get there, but to say what is the product or service we should have invented 3 years ago that nobody has yet come up with. And when you do that, you sometimes find that you actually don't need new technology to do it. My point is here that we need to get better at understanding problems. We need to get better at not just focusing on technology and the multitude of options, the things we can do with it, but to get better at diagnosing things that are going on, as you see here in the wine business, and that I've seen in multiple industries. Wherever I've been, I've seen examples of this going on, that we're not good enough at understanding problems and understanding the human side of the equation. It's a very basic idea. And I was very curious to hear like the comments we had here on the panel in terms of, this has been one of the themes, right? Will mankind kind of be crowded out by machines in terms of work? I have a different perspective on that. When I hear that in Kevin's business, by using machines, we've gone from 2% to 20%. Or when I hear you, Tammy, say that, well, machines can now diagnose and like suggest solutions for us. That's fantastic news. That's good news. Yes, will the technology thing we're seeing right now, will that affect the way we work? Absolutely. May it mean that we need to rethink how we distribute value in our societies? Maybe. I'm from Denmark, so hey. But that's not the point. The point is we're solving problems, and we're getting better at solving problems. And that's what we need to do. My question is not, will we be crowded out by machines? My question is, how high can we reach? As long as there's problems, and we have lots of those, there will be things for human beings to do. My question is, instead of trying to be protectionist in terms of how can we assure that we still keep some work from the machines, my question is, how do we make things ever better? How do we get living standards? How do we solve more problems? So when that happens, it won't be a global problem for us because we will have gotten better at solving problems. That is one of the core things that I hope we'll discuss more on, and not just this question of will we be pushed out of the labor market by machines. I think we might, but I also think that's not the end. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I had. I think it's time for some discussion. Thanks a lot.
Good.